Hey, it's Isaiah from the Inner Health Foundation. I'm doing a video today to talk to you guys about pain in the body. How does it arrive? Where does it come from? What causes it to manifest and grow? And what we can do to get rid of it. So the keys to understanding where it comes from, why it exists in your body and your life, and how you can remove it and live a more pain-free, joyful existence in your body and in your relationships in life. The first thing we need to do is understand where pain comes from, why it exists, and what we can do about it to get rid of it. So pain can be broken up into two things, we'll say, two different forms of pain, good pain and bad pain. And a lot of you might be saying, what do you mean good pain? There's no such thing. But my experience has shown otherwise. Now bad pain is when you slam your hand in the door or hit your head on the counter. You know, that's purposeless pain, sensation that radiates inside, goes nowhere, sometimes leads to nerve pain and discomfort that really has no benefit whatsoever. Now good pain is pain leaving the body. So if I find an acupressure point or a place of tension, stress, or stagnation in your body and I start to work on it physically, start digging in there, it's going to hurt and be very uncomfortable in the moment. But when I'm done, after you've breathed through it, a couple minutes later, there's going to be significantly less pain, not only in the spot, but in maybe the whole area surrounding it. So that's an example of how good pain shows up in the body and how we can trace it in order to find more relief and freedom within our body, within our movement patterns and our thinking process. And that's my mastery. And my process of mastery is deciding the best route for locating it and helping you to get it out of your body. So that's one of my main passions in life, is really understanding good pain, feeling into it intuitively, and helping to get rid of it. One of the most important and challenging parts of understanding how to chase good pain and get it out of the body is to figure out, first of all, what world it exists in. Where does our pain come from? It's not always necessary to figure out initially, but eventually we have to figure out what the root is if we really want to resolve and change the way that the tissue is operating and the way that we're relating to that discomfort. So I like to say it exists primarily as a root in one of four worlds: physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Somewhere in one of those four worlds, there's a pattern of movement or thinking or speaking, action or inaction, overuse, stagnation, repression. Something is rooted in one of those worlds, and it's causing a bubbling up of sorts, an expression of the tension, stress, and toxicity that's been locked down. So my job is to help you locate that. Once we identify it, we can start to make decisions about how you want to relate to it. And if you're motivated enough to do the real work to get out of that pattern, to free up that tissue and start to relate to yourself, your environment, and your body in a different manner, and change the way in which you experience yourself in your life. So that's the fun part. It's challenging, but it's also very fun. It's an exciting process of discovery, and it's one of my most favorite things in life. So I look forward to working with you on that. First, just conceptually understanding those parts and pieces, and then starting to, through your own inquiry, start to understand where you stacked and stored tension, stress, and toxicity, what part of your body, what part of your mind or your emotion or your spirit is in a holding pattern that's causing an expression of pain. So that's my main interest, is help you identify first and help you motivate to do what's necessary to free yourself from that pattern. And as soon as you have a couple experiences of deep release, you realize that it's essential. It's one of the most important things you can do with your time, energy, and resources, because the level of health and well-being that you discover on the other end feeds everyone around you. Everything you want to access, everything you want to do in your life, everyone you want to support and help in your family and your community depends upon your well-being. and depends upon your ability to have energy reserves and an ability to really be of service, which requires you to be free to a certain extent, which requires you to be out of pain, ideally. When you're in pain, it's very difficult to function at a high enough level to really serve other people around you. It can be done, there's examples, but let's just stick with the obvious, which is if you're out of pain, you're going to be in a place within yourself that's much more free and open, and you're going to be able to serve others around you to a much higher degree with more stamina and endurance and more clarity. So how do we tell what world our pain is rooted in? For example, it could be purely physical, like we had an injury, and that injury has caused a pain pattern to surface and grow, and it's causing us limitation in our movement and having a kickback effect of causing us to be maybe depressed or emotionally stagnant or angry or irritable, or it could be many different things in other worlds, but primarily it started as a physical issue. So it's tricky because it's a wheel really of 4 worlds, but we look at it as a cake of sorts. We look at it as the root world causing challenges or reverberations through those other worlds. So physical injury is going to manifest itself and it's going to cause issues in other worlds, but primarily it began in the physical, therefore we need to address it in the physical. Now emotionally, it could be childhood trauma or stress or things that we couldn't process because we weren't breathing, we weren't equipped to deal with the environment or the people or the trauma that we were experiencing, and we stuck it and stored it in our fascia and our muscle tissue, and have been in a holding pattern around that for so long that it started to cause physical pain and suffering. So then we need to look into that world and start to break down and open up what the underlying emotional pattern is, start to identify that, figure it out, and make some choices about whether we want to continue perceiving and relating to ourselves in the world in relationship to that trauma and that suffering, because it's a choice. It's always a choice. Next example would be mental. So we could be trying to drive our lives with our mind, trying to push our way through things mentally and not paying attention to the signals of our body. So therefore we have pain in our body that's manifested because we haven't been paying attention to the signals or needs or desires of our body, primarily so we can meet some objective or goal mentally, and therefore we're suffering and in a state of pain. Last would be, an example would be spiritually or energetically. We feel that maybe we're just purely biology or chemistry and we lack the connection with the spiritual realm. Maybe we feel as though our life lacks like a deep meaning or mission or purpose, that we're here basically just to live out our life as an individual or as a family member, part of our community, and then that's it. And so there could be some feeling of life being kind of futile or meaningless because, after this there's nothing, or even within this there's nothing. When in reality there are so many dimensions and layers to our experiences, and again it's a choice. So we can choose to cultivate a rich spiritual experience in this body, in this life, and the effects of that are really great. And they start to create space within our tissues, and there's a dual recognition of the space within us and the space outside of us. And as that starts to happen, there's a connection made, potentially. So deeper than belief and deeper than the structure of our upbringing, our conditioning, our belief system, our community, our church, or whatever it may be, is spaciousness within us and the flow of consciousness. So it could look like so many things, but spiritually, if we're devoid of a connection, that's going to manifest as well physically, because part of us is in a holding pattern of disbelief, and it can't help but physically manifest. There's an energetic disconnection. So it's not about holding a specific belief or worldview, but it is about being connected spiritually and energetically so that our life takes on a deeper and deeper meaning. And that in and of itself creates vitality and connection on a really deep level. So we're going to look deeply into this in the next phase, the next video. We're not only going to look into those 4 worlds deeply, but we're going to start to break down 3 major pain patterns in the body, identifying it, looking into it, starting to decipher what world it exists in for you, and then what you can do about it to break it down, dismantle it, and start to live more freely and more connected in your body and your experience. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned. Please work with me, communicate with me through YouTube or through the website blog, and let's keep rolling. All right, much love.